Hello students, welcome again to our biology class this week. In this week lesson, I think it's necessary for us to look at examiner's review on adaptation and practical biology because of some prominent or consistent mistakes that students keep on doing during WAEC examination. And the last practical exam that we took before the lockdown, it was a real eye-opener for us to do this review, because some of those mistakes that examiners have been commenting on, it was still repeated itself again. So in this week lesson, we'll be identifying or reviewing some major questions on adaptation and practical biology, looking at the various ways in which we can harness some of these problems. Let's look at the objectives of this lesson. Number one, we'll be able to identify selected questions on adaptation and practical biology. Common mistake that students make when attempting questions on adaptation. We apply the expected answers and remedies to the stated or identified weaknesses. Should be able to know the guidelines on answering practical questions and attempt the corresponding quiz on adaptation. These are the objectives of this week lesson. Let's look at the review questions. The review questions here, the first one is on paper 2, which is theory. Paper 2 is theory, paper 1 is objective, while paper 3 is practical biology. So this number 1 is from question paper 2. Number 1 said, explain briefly the following adaptive behaviors, giving one example in each case. Number 1, mimicry. Number I, camouflage. Then B, state 3 structural features that adapt cockroach to its habitat. C, state 2 effects of pests on plants. Number D, list 4 methods of preserving food. E, list 2 applications of variation in human society. While in number 2, which is paper 3, this question is from paper 3. Name the phylum to which specimen C and E belong to. State the reason for the answer in 2A. I. State 3 observable structural differences between specimen C and D. Number C. State 2 ways in which specimen D is adapted to its habitat. Or question D said, make a drawing 8 cm to 10 cm long of the dorsal view of specimen C and label fully. The observed weaknesses in question 1 and question 2. The observed weaknesses that inability of student to answer question on adaptation, taxonomy and ecology properly. That poor spelling of technical terms and one-word answers. Poor spelling of technical terms and one-word answers, where students make use of just one word or phrase. Make use of phrases to answer question. Instead of explaining, they will just highlight. So inability to correspond the answers on comparison of specimen. Inability to title specimen correctly. Inability to make a good diagram of specimen C, which is adult butterfly. Poor spelling of technical terms. Example, Spirogyra, they will spell this. Instead of spelling this, they will spell this for dysentery. Instead of spelling this for typhoid, they will spell this. Instead of spelling this for diarrhea, they will spell this. So you see some of these, and any mistake in spelling, the person will not get the mark. So you see some of these technical terms, the mistake that is being observed in them affect the mark of the student too. So poor expression in questions requiring explanation. So ability to express yourself is always good. That's why I keep on telling you guys that it's better that you overwrite than limiting what you know. It's better that you give them what more than what they want than limiting your response. Express yourself as much as you can. Poor drawing of diagrams. Poor drawings of diagrams, inability to compare biological processes appropriately. Making diagrams without the correct specification. And we have labeling with guidelines that are not ruled. Unruled diagrams or labeling. Inability to distinguish between dorsal and ventral view. Starting taxonomical name with small letters. See, look at some of these weaknesses were also observed in the last practical examination that you guys took. Majority of them. So there is need for you to apply the remedies that we are going to. We have the expected answers and remedy to the weaknesses. The expected answers, when one is asked, when you are asked the adaptive behaviors based on mimicry, is expected answers there. Resemblance of an organism to another different organism as a means of enhancing its chances of survival in its habitat. You see this question. This question, if it's 2 marks, this first point is 1 mark. This second point is 1 mark. If you write anything that is not related to this, you will not get any point. If you write anything that is not related to this, you will not get any point. Your explanations must, in one way or the other, be related to either this or this. If you get only this, you get half of the mark. If you get only this, you get half of the mark. So your full explanation of mimicry should be able to incorporate this and this together for you to get your full mark. So you will have some example. Swallowtail butterfly mimicking the tasteful one. Stick insect like a dead twig. Katydid and grasshopper like leaf. Large spaded giant arum lily mimics poisonous hooded cobra. Orchid flower mimics female flies. Cookboard bee, yellow jacket, and other correctly named examples. It must not be limited to this alone. So your examples must be in line to that particular adaptive behavior. So when we talk about common flagging, we have concealing coloration that enables an organism to blend with its environment, making or rendering it less visible to predators. Here you have 3 technical terms or technical definitions that these 3, at least 2 of them should be part of your definition. You know, the reason for this is for you to apply this in other explanations. Note that spellings of example in A, I, and II must be correct to score. So if you miss any spelling, which means that you won't obtain that mark, you won't get that mark. So you should start now to build your spelling skills. And we have the number B question. Adaptive features of cockroach to its habitat. Now we have dorsoventral flattened body for easy movement through crevices and cracks. Here we see many of us writing or listing these features without bringing out their corresponding functions or roles that they play. Some people will come and write dorsoventral flattened body, so 2 dark brown color, 3 mandibles, 4 presence of platula, 5 presence of wings. It doesn't make sense. You will not get any mark if you do such. Like we have here, 4 wings are hardened to protect the delicate wings. Brown or dark brown color blends with the darkness to prevent detection in its dark habitat. Hard hind wings modified for flight to escape from predators. Long antennae for feeling or sensation. Powerful mouthparts or mandibles or maxillae for chewing. Large and powerful hind limbs for fast movement. So if we look at this now, we'll be able to see that each of these features have their corresponding functions that they play. Whenever you are writing adaptive features, make sure that you will put them along with their corresponding functions. So the structure, 1 mark. Function, 1 mark. Look at it very well. We have structure, 1 mark. Function, 1 mark. Function alone does not score, but structure alone will give you half mark. Equation that you should get 2 marks, so you will only get 1. So these are some of the things that we should put into consideration. Okay, the number 2 question. The first one said, name the phylum to which specimen C belong to. Note here that specimen C is butterfly and specimen D is caterpillar. What phylum do they belong to? Many students were able to get this, while some students were writing class as a phylum. They were writing insecta. You're supposed to know that the phylum that butterfly belongs to is what we call Arthropoda. And your spelling must be correct for you to get your mark. The phylum is Arthropoda. But all insects belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. All crustaceans belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. All arachnids belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. All myriapods belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. They belong to the same phylum Arthropoda. Now state the reason for the answer. Many people were writing because they are insects, because they have wings. Is that the reason why they are Arthropoda? Okay, now if we in this question, the possible reasons why butterfly is an arthropod. 1, we are supposed to observe the metameric or segmented bodies, that they have segmented bodies. That all arthropods, they have segmented bodies or metameric segmentation. They have jointed appendages. They have jointed appendages, and apart from jointed appendages, there is always presence of chitinous exoskeleton. Very, very important. Presence of chitinous exoskeleton. They are always bilaterally symmetrical. Presence of bilateral symmetry. You can divide them in just one plane to get 2 equal halves. Bilateral symmetry. These are some of the reasons that you can give. Now the next one here, state 3 observable structural differences between specimen C and D. Now specimen C is butterfly, while specimen D is caterpillar. When you are comparing, there should be, your points should be corresponding to each other. For example, here's wings present in butterfly, but here there is no wings. No problem. Wings are absent. But when it has an alternative feature, you have to inculcate that, you have to include that one. Like proboscis in butterfly, while in caterpillar you have mandibles. If you come to butterfly, you will see proleg absent, Why, if you come to caterpillar, you see proleg present. If you come to butterfly, legs are longer. Why in caterpillar, legs are shorter. In butterfly, they have one pair of compound eyes, while in caterpillar they have simple eyes. In butterfly, they have antenna, while in caterpillar there is nothing like an antenna there. So these are some of the things that your comparison and your differences, they should be corresponding to each other. Now, state two ways in which specimen D is adapted to its habitat. We know that specimen D here is the caterpillar. How is it adapted to its habitat? Now, where's the habitat of specimen D? That's the first question that should go to your mind. The specimen D, the caterpillar, it lives in a garden within citrus or leaves. It feeds on vegetable, leaves, and fruit. Now, mandibles for chewing, don't list alone, put with the corresponding functions. Mandibles for chewing, apply this in all questions. It has 3 pairs of true legs with claws for locomotion. Its color pattern enables it to blend with its environment to escape predators. And again, it has claspers for attachment to vegetation. It has spiracles for gaseous exchange. It has simple eyes for vision. It has presence of pair of prolegs or forelegs for climbing. So you should always correspond the structures with their functions. The next one, make a drawing 8 cm to 10 cm long of the dorsal view of specimen C and label fully. Now, whenever we talk about dorsal view, in the next slide I will talk more on different types of drawing. Now, in diagram, there are things that you should understand. 1, your title. After title, we have clarity of lines, we have size, we have neat labeling, and we have details. Now, a diagram is 10 marks. 10 marks. Title will take 1 mark. Clarity of lines will take 1 mark. Size will take 1 mark. Neat labelings will take 1 mark. While the remaining 6 marks will be on details. So you have a lot of work to do to make sure that you will put as much detail as possible in your diagram so that you won't lose 6 marks. Yeah, you can easily create a diagram, maintain your size. That's very well. The size is stated there, 8 cm to 10 cm. Now you make sure your lines are clear. Also, create a neat labeling. Make sure that your labelings must be ruled with, use your cm rule. Make sure that they must be ruled. Unruled labelings will take that mark from you. Now, apart from that, when we come to detailing, in every diagram there are expected details. Like when we come to the diagram of a butterfly here now, there are details here that are needed. We have a clubbed antenna, it must be there. If you didn't draw this clubbed antenna, which means that this detail, you will miss its mark. At least in every diagram there must be up to 4 details. 4 details, both drawing and also in labeling. You should be able to label at least 8 structures. Unless if the diagram doesn't have up to 8 structures, but if it has, it must at least label up to 8 structures. Now if you make this diagram without showing these 3 segments, the head, the thorax, and abdomen, you are not going to get the mark. Showing that it is segmented, it has 3 segments, 3 body divisions, it will give you your mark. It's a part of the detail. Showing the 4 wings, and the hind wings will give you your mark. These are parts of the details. That's the reason why in the diagram they will always specify draw this type of diagram, either dorsal view or ventral view. These are the reason. So you must always show those ones. Then when you are labeling, label neatly. Make a neat work. And let's go to the types of drawing. When we talk about different types of drawing, because in your exam you will see them. You will see, make a ventral drawing, draw the ventral view, draw the dorsal view, draw the longitudinal section or transverse section of a dicot root or dicot stem. So whenever we talk about the ventral view, we are talking about this underside, the side that is related to the abdomen or stomach. We always say that is the front side of the body or the corresponding surface of the animal, usually the lower surface, just as you can see here. The one that is always related to the abdomen or stomach. We can always say also that is the bottom portion of the part of our body. So whenever you hear about ventral drawing, we are talking about this. If you hear about dorsal drawing or dorsal view, we are talking about this. The back, the opposite of ventral is dorsal. Dorsal, the back, just the back area, just as you can see here. So if we talk about longitudinal section, the longitudinal section, just as we have here, that you are dividing, you are making a dissection along the longitude. You are cutting it in a plane, in a longitudinal plane. So here you are cutting it relating to the length or to the longitude. You are cutting this way. So it is running in the direction of the long axis of that particular body. You are not cutting it in a slanting way. Just like if you look at this now, if you are making a longitudinal section of this human being, you are cutting this way. You are cutting this way. At this plane, this body plane, this long axis of the body is what we call the longitudinal section. Why, whenever we talk about transverse, you are cutting it at the width. You are cutting at this particular plane. So in transverse, you are just making the drawing of just the side. The side. If you cut into two, just like your orange, the way you normally cut your orange when you want to eat it, you cut it across the area. You just make a slant cut, just as you can see here. It gives a clear description of what a transverse plane looks like. You cut this way, while longitudinal you cut in a long axis. These are the different types of drawing that you might possibly see. So whenever you are asked to make a longitudinal section or transverse section or transverse diagram or ventral view or dorsal view, in your practical exam, you are expecting two diagrams. In your theory exam, you are expected to make two diagrams too. So you should be able to know what to do and how to do it very well. 10 mark is too huge for you to miss. Getting them is enough for you to go a long way. Having done this, we are going to apply this knowledge and this review on a timed quiz. You are going to take the quiz, apply this knowledge, and make sure that you won't repeat these mistakes in the quiz. Thank you and see you.